Hi Delphi nerds, welcome to How It Works with Holger for another AI experiment. In the last video, if you watch them in order that is, I showed a new feature that will most likely become part of the Chrome web browser. Google decided to integrate the Gemini project into the Google Chrome browser. And this means you have a full-blown AI interface or AI model inside of your web browser that is being downloaded onto the system and that does not require an online session in order to answer your questions. And what you see on screen right now is a TMS web core application that I built in about 10 minutes. That's how long it took me to create this. First, I created, of course, the design of the application. For that, I used Visual Studio Code in order to work out the design quickly. I added Bootstrap to the document using the link tag as shown in the documentation and adding the script for Bootstrap. So here in the development console in the Chrome web browser, we see the web layout, and it's easier to explain it looking at the design and not going through the source code. So from here, we see that we have the title, then the subtitle, and two flex boxes. One is here, and the other one is here. And if you want to know how you can look at those flex boxes, you go to the tag right here and expand everything. There you see the tiny little flex icon right here. And I click on it, and then I see that here is one box, and here is another box. The same for the other row, is just one item inside of the flex box. So that's how quickly you can design these kind of forms if you have a title, a subtitle, and then the question with a button. So we simply do, let me make this bigger in Visual Studio Code. We have the title with a H1 display 4, and then a lead-in, just a paragraph with lead and text secondary as the class attributes to make the color a little bit lighter. And then the form is two flex boxes right here. You see them here and here. And first we have the text area, and then we have the button. And by default, flex boxes align themselves inside of one row. So this is the left part, and this is on the right. And the button only takes as much space as it needs, unless you make it a block element or block inline element. But because it's inside of a flex box, it will only take as much space as it needs, as you see here. So only this is the space that is needed for the button. And then down here, the text area, the second one, automatically takes up the whole space that it has, which is the whole row, so to speak. So the whole wide space, and is only limited by the container. And because we align everything inside of a container, we get responsive design automatically. So you see everything automatically aligns itself. And we don't need to stack anything, because even on the smallest of devices, this looks still like we want it to look. What I did then is I created a new TMS web core application in Delphi and went onto the main form, into the designer, and flipped the CSS library to CSS Bootstrap and dropped one button, a tweb button. And then I assigned this button using the element ID to button ask. Button ask, you might ask, where does that come from? Well, in the HTML, I made sure that each of the elements, for example, the button is button ask, the text area 1 is text question, and the other text area is text answer. I always made sure that each area has like a default amount of rows. Like here we have 4 rows, down here we have 15, and the second area is also read-only, so we can't add any text to it. And the step is to simply copy everything over, copy-paste into the HTML of your main form. So this is actually the div that is inside of your HTML document, if you look here. So everything inside of the body up to the script. And the script and this link right here goes into the index.html that I also created. So if we go into this code, we have the link right here and the script right here before the body tag. That's how TMS Web Core works. Everything that is generated by you inside of forms is rendered inside of the body tag right here, where you see the meta body parameters. By default, you can change this behavior, of course, but by default, that's the behavior you get. You can look at other YouTube videos on this channel where you get like a really slow explanation of this. This is just a step-by-step instruction, what I did in order to create this example. And with that, we already have the design in place. At this point, we need to add the functionality. And for that, I go back to my form, here to my button, and link it using the element ID and set it to button ask. And this way, this button here will be replacing more or less, or will be replaced by this button element. So this is just a placeholder, so I can double click on it and implement the code that I want to put on this button. So I call the method ask, and the implementation of ask, I have to make this async, because if you remember the video how you can use AI inside of the console, the source code that I showed used the await keyword, and we want to use that here as well. So I go to ask down here, and then I get references to both of the txt question and txt answer. Those are both input elements, and input elements have a value tag with the string of the contents that's in there. So in order to get the question text, I can simply say question equals ltxt ask.value. And then I still need JavaScript, because this is not part of the language yet. This is something that is in the labs. So of course, TMS has not added it into their own components or into their own framework. So we literally just write some JavaScript here in order to use that functionality from the development version or from the canary version of the browser. So I say here the exact same source code that I used in the previous video. First, we get the text session, then we wait for the session to be open, and we have a working text session. And then from there, we can basically wait for the reply of a prompt that we want to ask. And we want to ask the question. And the question that is entered inside of this edit control. And then this question, the answer, is going to be saved in lanswer, another local variable. And then we assign this text to the text area that we have on the form. Done. That's all you need to do. So when we compile this, we don't incur any errors. Obviously, Error Insight isn't able to understand this because this is JavaScript. So this is just something that is to be expected. And then if we go into the development version of the browser right here, and we refresh the project, this is the live project. So I can now ask any questions that I desire. For example, list the last 3 presidents of the United States, period. Ask question. And then hopefully at some point, I'm going to get a reply. There we go. These are the last 3 presidents. And of course, there is always the little hint that the recent update for the database in this case has been made in September 2021. So that was the last update for this learning model, for this AI. So I wouldn't know about any events after September 2021. However, this is truly astonishing how easy it is to integrate this technology now into your applications, because you can also say, calculate the area of a circle with a radius of 2 meters. There we go. Wait a little bit. And then it gives you the formula. And this, of course, is not translated in this. So we would have to use one of the FNC controls. I'm quite certain has this LaTeX-like display of formula and stuff like that. However, we get the value approximately 6.28. This syntax here is LaTeX, which is a language that has great capabilities to display mathematical formula. However, this opens up your applications that users can actually enter questions or enter mathematical expressions, and you can do the calculation without actually implementing it yourself. Obviously, this technology will mature, and at some point you will be able to insert more complex prompts into all this. For example, something that I tried in the browser window before. Let's see if it can translate. For example, if we have a text in German, copy. Let's try translate to English. Let's see if that works. Well, not really good, because it literally, the translation is wrong because Spain won, not Georgia. So you see there is still, with AI, there is still something where you have to be very, very careful to trust all the translations. It basically, in German, it says victory against Georgia, Spain will meet Germany next. And this is correct, the second part, but the first part. So with these language models, please be careful, but this is exciting technology that you can integrate very, very easily into TMS Web Core. And also, as I've shown previously, with the VCL bridge into your VCL applications. Obviously, this will be possible as soon as Google will integrate it into Chrome and not just a beta or developer version or developer preview of Chrome. So with all this excitement, take care, see you soon, bye-bye.